Alright guys, that's Kremp again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The pros are giving a lot of reaction to the new Black Ops 7 title, which is coming up in just a few months' time, and some optimism that it might be better, certainly on the map side, than we have here in Black Ops 6, but some rumours that actually the jetpacks that we thought could be coming back, and that Illy and others are particularly excited about, are not necessarily going to be returning. Potentially some big changes to the way that we perceive the game going forwards, but crucially, Control could be out of the window, and Uplink could very much still be viable as a return for a game mode this season. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Pretty funny video the league come out with right here. This duo is comedy, and as Xnid says, I didn't even have my Celsius yet. This guy got lucky on the day. Now, there was a bit of drama around the Challengers World Championship, right? So we talked about the Call of Duty World Championship, the main stuff earlier on today, but there was even more drama on this. Now, let's just put it out there first of all. Toronto went out of their way to partner with AMD to get what I understand to be like the best stuff for the World Championship, right? Like the PCs that the Challengers players will be playing on at the World Championship for Challengers are going to be mega, right? They might even be better than what the CDL players want. I actually think that is true. I'm pretty sure the deal they've come up with AMD or whatever for the PCs that they're putting together here for the Challengers Champs, I think they're going to be stronger than, assuming that the CDL are still using the same ones they used to use, which they probably are. That is almost certainly the case. So Toronto have gone out of their way to put on a great show for the Challenger side, and I think that's very commendable. However, the bit of drama is that the monitors that they're going to be using, or that they've got access to, or that their partners have made work for them, are going to be 27-inch OLED 240Hz monitors. Now, that's a mega monitor. Can't imagine that it's especially cheap, but yeah, 240Hz refresh rate, 27-inch monitor is a spectacular piece of equipment. But the point that the Challengers players are making, and I do get it from their perspective, sure, I do get it. But again, you know, it's always when we talk about some of this Challengers drama, it's like, you know, sometimes a bit of gratitude might be a little bit nice. I'm sure that Toronto feel that way. But as a competitor, like, I do get it. That they've got these 27-inch monitors, whereas the players are pretty much all used to using 24-inch or 24.5-inch, something in that ballpark. That's the standard monitor that's used. That's the monitor that everyone has and is running on at home. So, you know, what are you meant to do about it, right? So, as Bance then says, you know, what's going on here? Why are we using different monitors to what I've been using at home? COD has only used the 24.5-inch monitor since forever, and randomly changing it Challengers Champs is wild, proves how disconnected they are, which I think is, you know, as I say, I do get it, the frustrations here. Is it the end of the world? Not in my opinion, but look, it's obviously not ideal. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Shouldn't, you know, the players are grinding for this tournament. Are they going to, like, buy a monitor, 27-inch monitor, to get ready for Challengers Champs? I mean, like, I guess that's the implication, right? That's what's going to be happening at the venue itself. There's also some people that would say, and maybe I get this argument as well, just move the monitor back a little bit, right? Do the physics, do the calculations, draw the lines, and figure out, okay, how far back do the monitor have to go so it effectively looks like it's 27-inch or like it's 24.5 inches to me? I mean, if you're playing like Super and you're sitting way back from the monitor, his monitor must look tiny, right, compared to, you know, what the other guys look like. If you're one of the players that plays real up close to the monitor, it's obviously going to look bigger from your perspective. I know probably that's not a perfect comparison, but you get my point, right? Like, I don't really think this is the end of the run. I still think that Toronto are doing a phenomenal job with what they've done for the World Championship, but of course, you know, it's not ideal. And I suppose there's always something to complain about. So, you know, there you go. Bit of updates as well around the world of Call of Duty. I thought this is pretty funny. COD discussion put out there. Who was the entry sub on this roster? Just looking back in the day at one of these teams, if you guys didn't follow, back in the OpTic Gaming Los Angeles days, the first year of the Call of Duty League, in hindsight, it is pretty remarkable to look at. Of course, Mudog was the general manager of the team, right? But JCap was a player for them when it was 5v5. You had Cap, who did lots of his good work on an AR. You had Slasher, who did lots of his good work on an AR. You had Dashy, the same applies to him. You had Kenny, the same applies to him. Although, at this time, it was a little bit different, the expectations. You know, Kenny, even Dashy was using a sub sub for some time because I think Dashy thought he was going to be the main AR, so did Slasher, so, you know, that didn't really go to plan. TJ was running a sub, but wasn't exactly his best title ever, and the whole thing was super dramatic as Dashy ended up getting benched, so you guys know how that season went. But to more rumours on what's going to be happening in Black Ops 7 and some of the reaction to it going forwards as well, because a leak from October 2024 on Black Ops 7 had the following, and this is what they kind of said at the time, that it's going to be an evolution of Omni movement, which has now been confirmed. It's going to have a wall jump, it's going to have body shield updates, uplink mode returns. So, you know, this is one of the key things. This leak happened quite a while ago now, and we've seen some of these things now get confirmed, but not necessarily all of them. The talk about uplink is a very interesting one as well, but there was also some discussion last night, and this was just another opportunity to mention Black Ops 3, but a Ghost of Hope says omnidirectional movement as a design or concept was actually first referenced by Treyarch with Black Ops 3, when they said, our new movement system is a fluid precision chain or precision focused chain movement system. We built it with the philosophy of guns up, persistent weapon control, and omnidirectional movement. So, you know, obviously a few years later, that's translated into something slightly different, right? Some interesting developments have happened over the last day or so, with rumours that actually, I think even COD mentioned this, that there's not going to be wall running. It's going to be an evolution of Omni movement. Now, what does that precisely look like or mean? More than likely, there is some wall enhanced mechanics, right? We're talking wall bouncing or wall jumping or wall diving or whatever. You get on the wall, you dive off the thing. That's been the big talking point recently. I know that some people are saying, look, could we maybe just get rid of tac sprints? We know that it came in kind of as a Warzone thing in MW19. Is it necessary anymore? I'd like to go back to a world where it doesn't exist and we simply have normal sprint, but normal sprint is either the same speed as tac sprint or is slightly slower, something kind of in that ballpark. I would like to see that happen, but it probably never will. But the talk is that, yeah, there is wall jumping or something where you can get on the wall and then jump off the walls. It's kind of like a parkour type thing. So, you know, maybe it's not as unrealistic or whatever you want to say about the wall running where you like latch onto the thing, but you can potentially jump onto a wall and then bounce off it, presumably spending some amount of time on the wall. That's the talk. What does it mean for competitive? It's a question. There was also talk as well, and kind of remarkable how things have gone, but according to some rumours, the Ghost of Hope mentioned this, that the Black Ops 7 game is going to be designed at least to some degree by Sledgehammer Games. Treyarch still have creative control, it's their franchise, but hopefully it means something good for multiplayer if Sledgehammer are helping and playing to their strengths. So, kind of crazy how time has moved on, because it wasn't that long ago where Treyarch were the gold standard for Call of Duty design. But we know that many of the top guys at Treyarch over the last few years have departed, and as a result, it now effectively is Sledgehammer that people look for to make the good COD games. They designed the great maps last year, let's not forget. So that's the talking point anyway, that BO7 is in part being designed by Sledgehammer Games, which, you know, could well be a good thing for the franchise, I guess we shall see. But understandably some reaction here to the changes to the title, if it's true that, you know, we've got wall jumping, we've got wall diving or whatever, but we've not necessarily got wall running or any kind of jetpacks. That's the, you know, seemingly big development, and we've heard about Attach and eaLy, among others, say, well, you know, maybe I'll come back if there's jetpacks or if the game is good. Okay, there's going to be some sort of advanced movement. It's not going to be Black Ops 3, it's not going to be Advanced Warfare, it's not going to be Infinite Warfare, but it's going to be something either Black Ops 4 or, you know, slightly, probably significantly quicker and with interesting mechanics other than that. And the question, I guess, does become, what does Uplink look like? Because if Uplink is returning, legendary game mode from the entirety of the jetpack era that we just mentioned, the portal is in the sky, you double jump into the portal, you get 2 points. You throw it into the portal, you get 1 point. It never really worked the same on boots on the ground. It was never as interesting or as exciting, like, because the 1 point throws didn't really hit the same when you can't do any kind of jetpacking. The interceptions don't hit the same when you can't do any kind of jetpacking. The game mode was just objectively inferior when they tried it as gridiron in boots on the ground in World War II. And also, you know, the portal was on the ground, so you had to run the portal, you had to run the ball in to get the couple of points. It never really hit the same. But Uplink, I think, is better defined when you have a uplink portal in the air that you have to jump into to some degree. And as Parasite says, it's plausible that either the person with the ball gets extra movement stuff that they can do, which would be actually very interesting if the guy who's holding the ball got a double jump, like that'd be pretty fire. Or alternatively, you could make sure that the maps are designed in a way and the uplink portals are placed in such a way that they are next to a wall where the player can, bounce off the wall and jump into the portal to get the couple of points. I'd also, though, would love to see, I think this idea is the more exciting one because, I remember spending a load of time in private matches on Black Ops 3 just practicing one-point throws, like on evac, on fringe, and whatever. Fringe, of course, there was a famous one over mid. That's from, the wall on the left-hand side of the bricks building. You could throw it over into the backside of the barn, and it was the same the other way around, although it was more challenging to execute that way. And it was great, fun to practice this type of stuff, but also it was really important for the play of the game, and making Uplink incredible to watch and to play was the ability to use the jetpacking to get those one-point throws off. Now, without the jetpacks, it makes it more complicated. But I would love the idea that the player who has the ball gets a double jump, or they get some sort of advanced movement in addition to what the other guys get, so they can potentially, just add another level of skill, if that's something to consider. So intrigued to your thoughts on all that in the comment section below. We'll see how the players react to this, of course, in due course. Just quickly to mention, these are the top 5 MVP candidates of the season. Number 5, really the only controversial one is who comes in at 5th. I think that pretty much everyone now has Scrap and Cellium and then HyDra. You can probably swap HyDra and Cellium in my eyes, but I think that Scrappy is clearly number 1, then Cell, then HyDra, then Simp. No real doubt about that. 5th place could probably either go to JoeDeceives and Neptune, but the reality is we will see at Champs who actually delivers when it really matters. And just one final stat for you guys on the World Championship. There's only a handful of players now that competed both at the inaugural launch weekend, such as that OpTic Los Angeles team we saw a few minutes ago, and also are going to play at the World Championship this year. So it's Simp, it's aBeZy, it's Cellium. Obviously on the FaZe guys, they've not moved anywhere since then. Shotzzy has moved around a little bit. Technically, he's been on the same franchise the whole time, but they've changed names a bit over the years. Huke actually started and ended in the same place, but in between it's been a bit all over the place. Envoy, Dashy, Slasher, TJ, and then Cammy and Metals. So, pretty interesting that Metals is here, of course, pretty up and down, but he started on Toronto way back in the day, and now he is, obviously he started on Heretics, right? But, in the CDL he started on Toronto. Now he's on Heretics. And Cammy, of course, back then was on Toronto, and now is on Boston going into this World Championship. So very much interested to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
It's map control. And when you hold progression, you can set up the next wave of a break. This is how you can then... This is what we call team pacing, an element of team pacing. Paco... If this was ranked, if this was me in ranked yesterday, and Soundwave, if you are still here, I'm damn well banging out. I'm getting 1, and I'm going. I'm getting 2 kills. But I'm getting traded. I'm going 2 for 1. Right? Let's say Paco does this. Paco gets 2, but he gets traded. Well, the boy's just going to spawn out anyway. And then these guys are going to spawn good. Right? They're going to spawn in. So you've got 2 kills. You're +2 on the KD. You're going to go through cat again. But you gotta run through again. Based on where the white team is in this situation. So here, right? Okay, they're still just going to refill time. But right here, Paco does a fantastic job understanding. He is on his own. He's doing his 25%. He's got 1. They still have to be careful of him, which then opens up timings somewhere, somehow, for the rest of his team to get to him, to make efficient kills and spawn him out. This is why this kid is good. That right here is why this kid is good.